All right, welcome back to the channel. Well, man, I thought the WBC had done right by Devin Haney, but it appears that was more than I should have expected. Devin Haney was reported last week had been reinstated as the WBC champion. Now, according to Boxing News 24, the WBC saying that is not true. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Devin Haney, man, one of the best 135-pound fighters in the world, one of the best up-and-coming fighters in the world, terrific fighter out of this great state of California. I think he fights out of Las Vegas. He is, I don't know if he is the current or the former WBC lightweight champion of the world right now because there's conflicting reports out there. Now, the reports say that Devin Haney was reinstated after he had filed a petition to be reinstated. Now, why would he have to file a petition to get reinstated? Because he was stripped of his WBC lightweight title after his last fight because he had shoulder surgery. And because I think according to what I can, piece together, the WBC had asked Devin Haney how long it was going to take him to get back. Maybe the answer was, wasn't easily determined, or they didn't exactly know at that point in time how long how long it would take him to heal. WBC didn't like the answer. Either the answer that they got was too long for them, or the lack of certainty around the issue might have spooked them. Whatever the case is, that their justification was that injury. So they moved him from WBC champion into WBC champion in recess. So he's no longer the WBC champion. Now, I would suspect, because of the fact that boxing has been completely canceled, all of the fights have been canceled and pushed back, including a fight that was ordered by the WBC between Luke Campbell and Javier Fortuna for the WBC title that was stripped up from Devin Haney. All of boxing, including that fight, has been canceled. So when Devin Haney, or the news came out that said Devin Haney had been reinstated, you can actually Google it right now. If you go Google it and say Devin Haney WBC, the news articles that you'll bring up and say Devin Haney was reinstated as a WBC champion. But according to Boxing News 24, that's not the case. And what Mauricio Sulaiman has said is that Devin Haney had applied for that, and they are and I guess he has to also submit something called a certificate of clearance that they would then consider reinstating Devin Haney. But in that statement made that is being quoted by Boxing News 24, the WBC mentions the fact that they had already ordered a fight between Javier Fortuna and Luke Campbell will be taken into consideration also. So that is very much up in the air. So number one, the WBC is saying, hey, we need a certificate of clearance from the doctor to tell me how quickly it is going to be before you can fight and that you're good to go. So if you got a certificate of clearance from your medical guy too, that you're ready to fight, then okay, maybe. Right? Then that's what they're saying. Maybe, because they also have to take into consideration the fact that they've ordered a fight between Javier Fortuna and Luke Campbell. Now, here's the thing. All that is some garbage, because there's no reason that they should have ever stripped Devin Haney they should never strip Devin Haney. And now, even if they had stripped Devin, because I'm like, dude, they stripped him so fast. When you think about how long it took them and how much leeway they gave Keith Thurman when Keith Thurman was injured with the WBC welterweight championship, that was He was the WBC champion for at least a year before he gave that belt up. He had been I think he went almost 2 years without defending. The first year he went without defending the WBC and the WBA, right? And then the WBA elevated him to championship or moved him to championship and recess after Keith Thurman voluntarily. I believe Keith Thurman had voluntarily relinquished that belt. This case with Devin Haney, they stripped him. He didn't voluntarily give it up. They stripped him, and it was a lot less than the year that they gave Keith Thurman. So if you look at the way that they applied their rules against Devin Haney, with Devin Haney, at least from what I recall, the way that they enforced this, that championship on recess on top of Devin Haney versus how they did it with Keith Thurman, you can tell that those are wildly different levels of treatment. So number one, if you would have went and given them the same credit, if the WBC had given Devin Haney as much credit as they had given Keith Thurman, they shouldn't have stripped him to begin with, at least from what I can see outside looking in. But also, now that you've done it and all of the fights, all of boxing is canceled, then you should just scrap the mandatory fight and give the guy the title back, because he could very well be ready to go by the time the fight is available anyway. You know, there's no reason not to reinstate Devin Haney as the champion. Now, this though, I will say something that might be slightly controversial. This is all mucked up by the WBC. All mucked up by the WBC, because the fact of the matter is that Devin Haney, first of all, Devin Haney right now is the situation should be reinstated. But what is he getting reinstated to? He would be getting reinstated to something where he was basically named the champion because of some other crazy decision that the WBC made, which was to give Vasily Lomachenko a franchise title regardless. Lomachenko should have never been elevated to the WBC franchise champion. Vasily Lomachenko should still be the WBC champion, and he should have been forced to fight his mandatory, which is Devin Haney. Devin Haney should not have been, if things were right with the WBC, Devin Haney would not at this moment be the champion that they had to strip. Because they could have let Vasily Lomachenko have his one fight and then mandated a fight that Vasily Lomachenko defend his WBC belt to begin with. All of this nonsense starts with the WBC's decision to create a franchise championship for Canelo Alvarez. And once they infected their organization with that nonsense, then it bubbled over to a request from Vasily Lomachenko. This WBC is just doing way, way, way too much. Way too much with this franchise belts and playing these games, and every other boxing match has got some new WBC belt there. I was taking pictures of Tyson Fury, like putting it for a project, looked at a picture for Tyson Fury from the Otto Wallin fight and noticed that Tyson Fury with a big gashed eye is sitting there with the WBC belt around him. Like, hold on, man. How many WBC champions were there at that moment? You have Deontay Wilder, who's the WBC champion. You have Dillian White, who is another champion. You have Tyson Fury, who is another champion. So it's like they got three guys all wearing WBC belts in the ring during fights that are heavyweights. It's just their decision-making process is so ad hoc. It's so, well, this is what I think I should do for this one. And in this situation, I'll do that one. There's just no consistency to the consistency to the application, in their application of their rules. It's just bananas. It's just some madhouse of decisions coming up. It's like a madhouse decision. Like just a bunch of clowns sitting behind a desk, man, just throwing shit around like, hey, well, what am I going to do today? Who am I going to do it for today? Well, we'll just call it like we see it, man. we'll just take it as it comes, and whoever makes us the most money is the guy that's going to get the decision this time. Because in their rules they have in there something that says, that for the interpretation of the rules, I think it's whatever the title is that Mauricio Sulaiman has the right to is able to interpret the rules however he sees fit, is in the as long as he considers it in the best interest of boxing, or some phrasing that's close to that. And it's just ridiculous, man. It basically says our rules are there unless we decide that we don't want to enforce them, or if we just want to just do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. There's no consistency to their rules. And as a result, you get this absolutely ridiculous chain of events where Devin Haney, right? We're really having this argument. Whether or not Devin Haney if Devin Haney gets reinstated, will Devin Haney be a two-time welterweight champion? I mean, a two-time lightweight champion. Okay, let's just assume that that you say, yes, if they reinstate Devin Haney will be a two-time WBC champion. That's how bananas boxing is right now, because you can have a guy that is a two-time champion in lightweight division, but yet never win his title in the ring. Both of them would have been sent, both of his championships would have been sent to him in the mail. That's how crazy it is. All because not through some fault of Devin Haney, but the fault of the WBC and their attempt to appease Bob Arum and Vasily Lomachenko and Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez. It's absolutely ridiculousness. But anyway, it is what it is. Hopefully Devin Haney will get that belt back, and that'll allow him to fight other cats, win other belts, and be a Hall of Fame fighter. I wish nothing but the best for the young man. Anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.